Hello all and welcome to this 100 sub games hunt challenge video special. Now before I get cracking on with the hunt itself, I just want to mention a couple of people, do a couple of shout outs because they really helped in the spike from around about the 90 mark to what is now past the 100 subscribers mark. So first of all is a thank you to Brian at Spacies. He's follow Friday on Twitter and subbing to my channel himself. Really made a spike that day. And then having already hit exactly 100, I want to put another shout out to TheRetroBear, who also mentioned me in one of his videos, and it helped with the spike that's put me past the 100 subscribers mark and hopefully staying there. So what have I got in line for you guys today? I say it's a £10 CEX challenge again. This time it's going to be a bit wacky and a bit zany because we are celebrating the 100 subscriber mark. So what I'm going to do is annoy the staff by spending this £10 note in there, and what I'm going to be buying is hopefully more than 10 games, but no two games are going to be for the same system. So that is the real challenge. So can I do it? I might fail, but you're going to see the outcome no matter what happens. So let's get up off my bum and head over to the CEX store, which you can probably see in the distance. I'll try and throw some retro games footage when I get in there for you as well, perhaps actually. So yep, see you in a second. Bye. Hello again all, home now, just pulled up on the drive, and as you'll see we have a nice big bag here of games from CEX. Did I complete the challenge? Yes I did, but just before we go inside there was a couple of things I forgot to mention while I was out there doing an intro, talking to my phone in public like a nutter, and that was those two channels that I mentioned that I've given a shout out to. Please look in the description below and you will see links to their channels. I also forgot to go over the rules of what I got in this lovely bag, and that was basically I couldn't buy a duplicate title for another system. So if I bought like Call of Duty Advanced Warfare for one, I couldn't then go and buy it then for another. Other thing is obviously I stayed away from FIFAs and things like that. There were no sports titles allowed, and it was really tough. It got very, very tough towards the end when I started hitting the £10 mark, getting near it, should I say. I was in £9.50 for ages. But anyway, let's go inside and see what we got. Okay people, so we're inside now and it is time for the pickup section to this video, to this 100 sub special crazy little challenge here that I've done. And as you'll see in front of you, there are indeed 11 games and they are all for different platforms. So challenge has been completed. I'm going to be showing you them in the order that I actually picked them up, so I can tell a little story of how I got through this challenge. I mean, I did go in there with a strategy in mind. However, I did do a scout mission of the entire store first. And finally, just please stay tuned at the end so you can hear what I'm going to do with some of these games. So I don't own all the consoles, so I won't be able to play them all. I do have something in mind that I'd like to do with them. So with that, let's crack on with the games and the story as I said. And the first one you'll see, you might have caught a flash of as we went down there. Now, the first thing I did when I went in is I thought, right, okay, cheap Nintendo. You've got stuff like the DS and the Wii that are bound to have really cheap games for under £1. They both didn't let me down. So the first game I got was in the DS section. As you'll see, it is Beat the Intro, the ultimate music game for only 50p. I thought my DS game was going to be the brain training game. They had a whole stack of them. They were 50p each, and at first glance I couldn't actually find anything else. So I thought that's going to be my 50p game. I do want to keep them as interesting as possible, I said to myself, and obviously I've got to stay clear of anything sport-wise. And being as this was the only copy of Beat the Intro, it was what I decided to go for in the end. While I was in that section, I did glance at the 3DS stuff. Didn't think there was much hope there. I was right. I did look at the Switch stuff. Knew there'd be no hope there. I was right. So got my DS game, got my first 50p game under my belt, and it was time to move on towards the Wii stuff. However, on my way round to the Wii stuff, I noticed there was a small section of PSP games. Now, I went through all of the PSP games, and the only two that weren't a sports title were priced at 75p when we're talking the cheapest. One was a game called Aragon, but the other one was this Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Man's Chess game, which took my interest personally more than the other one. So I picked that up for 75p. Bit annoying that it was 75p and sort of odding it up a bit, as CEX's stuff is mainly 50p and a pound, as we all know if you shop there. But anyway, so 75p was the cheapest PSP game available to me, and Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Man's Chest is what I went for. So that interrupted my little stroll over to the Wii section. However, I then got there next, and the next game I picked up was another 75p one. Even though I could have got a 50p one there, it just balanced out the maths there quite nicely, and it is the game Jumper. Don't know a lot about this one. I was going to say I knew Wii would be easy. Should mention that I have been through all of them and they are complete in manual, but the reason why it's all of a sudden jumped into my head is this one's so weighty. The book in it is real heavy. So that was my little cheap purchase from the Wii, a system that I knew wouldn't let me down when it come to cheapness. Another system I knew that wouldn't let me down when it comes to cheapness was the PlayStation 2. That section was immediately behind the Wii section. So I strolled over there. I had loads of choices there for 50p. And the first one, or not the first one that I saw, but the one that really I thought, oh, that's quite interesting, a James Bond game, GoldenEye Rogue Agent, another complete in-box game for only 50p. So at the moment we're doing well. We've only spent 250 so far, and it's progressing along nicely considering we've got 4 games as well. So with that, as I say, I wanted to keep cheap stuff in mind. I thought, right, what is cheap next? And it was just a case of sliding around the store, because next to the PlayStation 2 stuff was the PlayStation 3 stuff, and I knew there was 50p titles that you could get there. However, there weren't as many as I thought you could get there. The choices were ultimately a Guitar Hero game, which I considered not interesting enough, Beowulf, and Tom Clancy's Hawk. Now, the first one, apparently there is a sequel, but the sequel was £1, so I went for Tom Clancy's Hawk. Complete in box with manual, as they all are, and another 50p. So we are, again, doing really well. We're keeping them all to 50p, especially when we've got to get at least 11. 50p is an absolute diamond. Talking about absolute diamonds, another system that I knew wouldn't let me down in picking up a cheap game is my most beloved system personally, and that is the good old Xbox 360. What made it a tiny bit challenging for me, as I've started collecting for this already, I did kind of want to pick out one that I hadn't got. I mean, I could have picked up Brink, that was 50p. What else I could have picked? Yeah, there was another couple of tiles I could have picked up with 50p, and I was just like, I want to find one that I haven't got. And eventually I came across Homefront. I spent a lot of time there actually trying to hunt that down. I must have been there for about 10 minutes or so, literally in front of the 360 stuff, looking for a 50p title. But we got there in the end. We got Homefront. Again, as I say, they're all complete in box with manual. So yeah, Homefront, another 50p towards the total. And they're all, again, going along nicely. Moving on, another system that I knew would throw up cheap games, the original Xbox. Men of Valor. There were so many random titles there. It was hard to pick an interesting one because they were all kind of interesting in a way. But we went for Men of Valor, and as I say, I've been through all of them and checked them all out. But the funny thing about Men of Valor is it's not just complete in box with manual; it's complete in box with 2 manuals for some reason. For some reason, yeah, we got 2 manuals. So I don't know why that is, but there we go. We have Men of Valor, another 50p game towards the challenge. Now, this is where I knew things would get tricky. Things were going to step up. Systems were going to start having dearer games. But however, I knew the odd one or two existed for the big ones. So we headed over for PS4 and Xbox One stuff next. And I scouted fully. I went through every game, finding the cheapest for each of them. The only £1.50 game, or the cheapest, for the PS4 was Destiny, and it was £1.50. So it had to be my purchase for that. Not a shabby game at all. Why it's so cheap, I don't know. Maybe it's just there's a lot of them out there. But anyway, Destiny was my £1.50 game for the PS4. So I was actually really pleased to pick up a PS4 for that low. And as I have a stack of 50p games, I kind of have a bit of money to play with. And I say kind of have a bit of money to play with because it's getting difficult now. So that brings me over to the Xbox One section, and I went through everything there. I thought I'd have to buy a £2.50 game, which was Tour de France, but I then noticed there was actually 2 or 3 £2 games. I could have chose Evolve, I could have chose Elder Scrolls Morrowinds, but for some reason I liked the look of Agents of Mayhem, so that one was my buy for £2. There, Now, if you've been adding up as we go along, that leaves me with £2.50, and I was fastly running out of consoles. It was then that I realised when I looked at the PSP games, I didn't look at the PS Vita stuff. However, that was always going to be a no-no, and I was right. That was a no-no. There was only literally a handful there, and they were all expensive. Even the FIFA game they had. Anyway, I noticed the Wii U, and I also thought that was going to be a casual glance. But lo and behold, when I flicked through them, there was a couple of basketball games. They don't qualify. But there was actually a £2 game for the Wii U. I could not believe it. Only £2 for a Wii U game. And I said, well, I've kind of got to have that. And so I picked it up. Now, real problem here. All of a sudden, I've only got 50p left, and I'm looking around for consoles, and there's not a lot left. And it was when it came to my mind that I'd realised that I'd forgotten the GameCube. Now, I'd love to say to you guys I picked up a GameCube game, but I didn't. The only cheapest GameCube game that qualified was £1, and I was like, I'm over here. And at this point, I was panicking, and I was looking up through my phone in the hope they'd priced up something I'd already picked up wrong, because I knew everything I got was the cheapest available for what I'd got. So I'm looking through my phone, and no, because sometimes they scan them through and it turns out cheaper. Nope, they were all correctly priced, and it was heartbreaking in a way. So what saved me? It was actually the fact they have PC games there. They have PC games there. And I went through them all, and there was a few 50p games. I tried to pick out something of high note. I actually picked out a Tomb Raider game, and it was £1.50, and I was like, oh, really? There was actually some games in the PC section for like £22, things like that. I was actually quite surprised. But I went for well-known, and what isn't more well-known than a good old game of Trivial Pursuit? And I mean, this game can't be bad. I mean, it's not just Trivial Pursuit, it's Trivial Pursuit Unhinged. You know, I actually have a laptop which I can play this on, so I might actually give this a try. However, I won't be keeping it. So, ladies and gentlemen, that 50p title there brings me up to the £10. So I got 11 games from CEX, all on a different platform, all for £10. So I was able to complete this challenge, and what a challenge it was. So, ladies and gentlemen, what I'd like to say is that with the stack of games, I will be keeping the Xbox One, the Xbox 360 game for the collection, because I do need them. And what I'm going to be doing with the rest of them is I'm going to be donating them to charity, because I don't need them. I won't be able to play them, so I'm going to give them to charity, and I'm giving them to charity that's close to my heart. My whole family, we are dog owners, we are dog lovers, and there's a local woman to us who runs a shelter called Mutts in Distress. Now, the lady does so much good work for herself, basically. She does it on her own in all of her spare time, and she lives in a life of thousands of pounds of debt because she won't have a stray dog or an unhealthy dog put down, and she will rehome them all. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be donating those games to her for her next event that she can sell on like a bric-a-brac stall or something. And as regards to the 2 games that I am keeping, I will be going to her website, which I'm going to put a link in the description for, and going to the PayPal button on that homepage if you scroll down far enough, and giving £5 for the 2 games that I'm keeping, which is double what I've actually paid for those 2 games. So ladies and gentlemen, if you do visit that site and even one person drops £1 on it, I will be pleased. So she does some incredible work, as I say, lives her life in debt doing it. Anyway, that's that out the way. Also, check out the links to those 2 other channels in the description, please. They are both great guys who have helped me out immensely, so I'd love to be able to return the favour. Also, in the comment section below, what did you think of what I got? Can you believe the price I paid for some of them? What was your favourite item from the game? And also, I want to hear from you. Give me some challenge suggestions. I mean, keep the money under a tenner, and keep the challenge reasonably realistic. I mean, I do like a challenge, but let's not say 20 games for a tenner. That ain't going to happen, I don't think. So, yeah, let's hear your suggestions for some challenges. And you never know, I may pick yours and do it. I do have a few ideas floating around in my head, and as you'll see, they can be quite mad at times. So I think, ladies and gentlemen, I'm now going to wrap up this video just by saying thank you for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe. Do all that for us. And then finally, as always, take care.